there's a lot of fear when you make a movie that people aren't gonna like it, but you'd be surprised at how many people want to watch anything that you create and will pay attention to those wonderful little details that you put into it. It just feels like a nice warm hug.
Magic comes from the fear of death. Every living thing has it. The more fear pumping through the blood, the more power.
Made a worm.
Are your friends okay? You've opened a door that, once it's open, it can be hard to shut. I shouldn't have kept this from you. It was a mistake.
Liar. I know the truth, Mom.
I did what I was taught to do.
Winter eats fall, fall eats summer, summer eats spring, and spring eats winter.
What do you smell? I smell a man. You know why we're called Hellbenders? Because we're fierce. Have you been in my dreams? If you break my heart, I'll devour you.
If they want to believe in hell so badly, I'll give them hell.
I just want us to be people. It's not a gift, Izzy.
Then why was it given?
But I'm not afraid of you, Izzy.
You will be.
Hello and welcome to the 206. My name is Mark, as always, coming to you from Seattle, Washington, and this is the Changing Directions Filmmaker Interview Series. Now, I am excited to speak with three very special guests today, John Adams, Toby Poser, and Zelda Adams, the filmmaking family behind Hellbender, an award-winning horror movie that is now available on Shudder. John, Toby, Zelda, thank you for your time, and welcome to the 206.
Thank you
Mark.
so much. And we love Seattle, so we're glad we're in Seattle.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, I've been wanting to speak with you ever since I saw your movie, The Deeper You Dig, back in 2019. And now here we are, and I get to talk to you about Hellbender, which is such a good movie. I enjoyed it so much. Now, watching the movie, this will lead to my first question here, but watching the movie, it felt like a very personal film, even though it's dealing with some pretty crazy genre stuff. So what was the initial idea for this story? Like when you very first said, hey, let's make this movie?
Well, something personal happened indeed. So right before we started shooting, and right after The Deeper You Dig, my mom, who was in The Deeper You Dig, was dying, and she told me that my father was not my biological father. So I was learning this at age 50, and I learned that I was donor conceived.
Wow.
So it was like, well, who is this donor? What if he, and then of course, you know, the cinematic wheels just start turning. You know, what if he was an axe murderer? What if he was the devil? So it led to the devil, and eventually we realized, we're not going to ready to tackle the devil.
Oh, wow.
We'll just make a kind of, you know, matrilineal devilish descent.
Right, exactly. Thank you for explaining that. And Zelda, John, I'm sorry, John, Zelda, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I have something to add to it, which is, you know, because of that experience with Toby, it really became an interesting question about nature versus nurture. Like we always thought, oh, that's her dad, that's her dad, that's her dad, and then suddenly that's not her biological dad. It was her dad, but it's not her biological dad. And suddenly all these questions of like, oh my God, now we want to know who your dad is because that will explain so much of who you are probably. And in fact, it did. And so that whole idea really plays in to Hellbender, which is, you know, the Izzy character has been lied to about her, what she is, because she's not a human. She's been told, you're a sick human. But in fact, she's a powerful Hellbender. And so when she begins to kind of start to discover the truth of her real DNA, it's kind of, you know, actually blown out of proportion of what happened with Toby. It's like, oh, I got to ask all these questions. I got to re-ask all these questions.
Thank you for adding into that. And Zelda, thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, from a different standpoint, at the same time, we were working on a music video because we are a band. Our band is actually called Hellbender, but all
Right.
the E's are sixes. We were making a music video for one of our songs called Black Sky, and it was just super witchy and just stark and awesome. And we also made some weird psychedelic editing mistakes. So we were like, wow, we have to like make a movie that works with this psychedelicness and is super witchy. So these different ideas all kind of combined, and Hellbender was born.
Oh, wow. That's amazing how like mistakes, like you're talking about, can turn into, okay, that's actually what we want. And it turns into something. So thank you for adding that in. That's really cool. Now, again, watching the movie, it feels very intimate and isolated. Yet there are hints of a much larger world and a rich history of these hellbenders that you're talking about that goes back like centuries. You know, we see little glimpses of that. So tell me about the world building that you did inside of what's still ultimately a small scale indie movie.
That's a great observation, and really cool that you asked that question, because we did want to give the film some scope, but we don't have a big budget, and it was during COVID. So the way we could give it scope was through the visions in the book or the visions that Izzy has,
Yep.
like in dreams. And so what we did was plant mythological figures into those visions so that the audience could be like, oh, wow, I see this girl or this hellbender comes from a long lineage of very powerful hellbenders that at one point were high priestesses and like fierce pirates. And, so it was a great way to let the audience know the power that these people have very quickly.
Right.
Yeah, also the character of Amber was another way to show the opportunity that was, outside the mountain that Izzy was living on. Since we don't have, access to tons and tons of actors,
Right.
we thought that we could use that character to show, hey, this is an opportunity for what's out there. And yeah, that's Izzy's gateway to the other world, and if she wants to go out there or not.
And as far as the Hellbenders world, we really took all of our cues from nature itself, because we live in a quite isolated rural area, and nature just is our great storyboarder.
Yeah.
And so we were just taking lots of cues from the brutality and the beauty of nature that surrounds us, and talking about the Hellbenders' nature. So we just dropped them right in the most natural setting we fortunately live in.
I love those things that you're touching on. And one thing I want to say again, as I mentioned, the movie feels isolated, like you're saying, out in nature. And from what I understand, you make these movies in and around the town where you live. So what is the level of community involvement, and how do the locals view this world of filmmaking you've created, especially given the genres that you're diving into?
They get a big kick out of it. We have a wonderful community around here. The hanging scene in the very beginning of the movie is all of Zelda's soccer team moms.
No way.
Yeah, and the community is very helpful to us. They let us shoot in their diners. They let us shoot on the street. No one bothers us. People ask to be in the movies. They'll even, we don't really need, but we need to kill somebody. Oh, great, please kill me. So we have an exceptional community around here. Roscoe, New York, Livingston Manor, New York are very good to us.
Wow. No, that's amazing. And Zelda, Toby, anything to add to that as well?
No, yeah, it's we live in a very isolated place, so it feels easy to reflect that within the movie. But it is great that we still do have a sense of community, and it's great that we can include them in it. Like John said, like we really try to hire real people that are around us, because
Right.
they're used to living in this isolated community. So if we can use them in our films to just like play themselves, I think it's just really beneficial towards like the acting and the storyline.
They definitely think of us too as kind of the kooky family that walks into the grocery store with blood still on them or in our costumes, and they're just like, oh, it's those guys.
Here comes the Adams family again, right?
Yep, dun dun dun.
It's also very funny, the people that do, like, they know what we do, and like one lady that works at the grocery store that I really want her in one of our movies, and I've been asking her for 3 movies. I was like, will you be in our movie? And she's always like, hell no, I ain't doing it. Hell no. No, it's great. I love it. So I'm just going to keep hassling her. I'm going to keep hassling her. It's going to be, till the day I die, I'm going to be like, please be in that movie. No, I don't want to be in that I don't like that horror stuff.
Well, I think it sounds like someday you'll win her over just with the passion that you have for this. Now, one of the, and as that's actually a really good segue, is one of the things that really comes across on screen is how much passion you have for making movies. And I imagine, between the 3 of you, it has to be a very collaborative process as well. So what does that look like for you on set, in the editing room, and just that overall process of putting together a movie?
Yeah, it's extremely collaborative, especially in the writing process. We really come up with a lot of the ideas together just around the dinner table or while we're driving to soccer practice. And then once we actually get on set, whoever's not acting in front of the camera is normally the one controlling it. And then once they get their vision out of the way, we each normally all have different ways that we want to shoot a scene or things we want to say. So many times we'll shoot it 3 different ways and then go home, and in the editing process, we'll discover which way turned out best, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you for diving into that a little. Now, a little bit of a left turn here. So who is a director for each of you that has had an influence on how you make the movies?
I love, and this isn't in this genre, but I love John Cassavetes for the nature of there's obviously something very familial and collaborative, and sometimes I think you can even see a boom mic in some of his shots. But you feel like you're at the dinner table, and you feel like you're right there with them. You can taste the spaghetti they're eating. I love the energy of his film. So he's a director that I really admire, or was.
Thank you. Zelda?
Well, I'll be honest. I think mostly visually. I think that's where most of my head is at. So I do get a lot of inspiration from, it's a basic response, but Wes Anderson, he just leaves a huge lasting visual impact on me. So absolutely. I don't try to copy him, but I try to think, will this visual leave a lasting impact on the viewer? I hope so. So he inspires me in that way.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Thank you. Now, John, who's your director?
I really love the Coen brothers because for me, they're kind of very realistic, but almost absurd. And there's just this tiny hair right in between those lines, and they ride that hair very well. So I really enjoy what they do.
Yeah. No, those are all great examples. Thank you. Now, again, for each of you, who inspires you that's not a filmmaker?
That's a better question.
Yeah.
I like Muhammad Ali.
Really?
I like him, and I like him as he got older and all the damage that had been done to him, the absolute grace and intelligence and humanity that he showed us all. Wow. That's the kind of human being that I aspire to be like.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I grew up playing soccer, so athletes like Abby Wambach truly inspire me because they're getting out and doing it and killing it. And I try to use that to inspire me in the filmmaking process to just go out there and film and work hard, and you'll get better every time that you're working on it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And usually those type of women are groundbreaking and doing things that nobody's done before. So I love that example. Thank you.
Oh, I guess that leaves me. Can I just want to say, and she's not here, but Lulu, our other daughter, who is a young woman. She's almost 24, and she is someone who is on that cusp of figuring out who she wants to be in her life. Right. And she has a kind of kindness and adventurousness that I love so much. And so I know it's a very motherly answer, but I'm really inspired and love what I see in my own daughter.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for that.
Hey.
Oh, no little family trouble. No, thank you for those answers. That's outstanding. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to acknowledge each of you for being creators, taking a stand for the types of films that you want to make, and making a career out of something you truly love. So this interview series is called Changing Directions, and you're absolutely doing that, and really within an industry that doesn't make a lot of room for independent artists. So my final question is, when you look at the process of making Hellbender, what is the one thing that comes up for each of you that gives you a sense of gratitude?
Definitely the community and the reward of getting to share your film with the audience and the community, because they're extremely welcoming. You know, there's a lot of fear when you make a movie that people aren't going to like it, but you'd be surprised at how many people want to watch anything that you create and will pay attention to those wonderful little details that you put into it. Yeah. It just feels like a nice warm hug.
I have to agree with Zelda. I just have so much gratitude for the people that watch our film, and they watch it, and it's so fun to talk with them, because suddenly they're joining us on this journey that was important to us. And we're talking about small details, and it gives you a ton of gratitude. Like, you're so thankful as a creator that people are sharing that experience with you.
And although I could easily say the same thing, I'll just take another angle and say I'm really grateful to the people on the Shudder team and AMC and Yellow Veil, who introduced us to Shudder, because I think without them, I'm not sure we would have been able to, introduce Hellbender at large as we have been able to. And they've been so wonderful, honoring both the film and us as filmmakers. So I'm very grateful for them.
All amazing answers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Now, Zelda, Toby, John, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today. For me, this is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. So thank you so much, and all the best to you in the future.
Thank you.
Extremely kind. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, the movie is Hellbender. This is John Adams, Toby Poser, and Zelda Adams. My name is Mark, and again, this is the 206 Changing Directions Filmmaker Interview Series. For more information on this family of filmmakers and all their movies, go to wonderwheelproductions.com and check out both Hellbender and The Deeper You Dig on the Shudder streaming service. If you're not already subscribed to Shudder, they do have a 7-day free trial option available, so no excuses. Now, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, leave a comment, and also check out 206.com, the official home of all content from the 206. Thank you so much, be safe, and see you next time.